Hey guys, so today we are back doing the TUR portion of my post-worldwide download celebration tier list. This is after 17 and 18 came out. I think this will be a good time to go ahead and bang this bad boy out. This one is interesting because not really too much has changed in terms of the summonable TUR scene since the Zamasu fight dropped, because that is like the main bar that we are at this point, where it's kind of like Red Zone Zamasu is what is setting the bar in terms of like who the best TURs are, who the best units in the game are, because it's like, you know, I don't really like this mindset that we take as a community, to be honest with you, that we just kind of like only look as the hardest fight as the bar. But I do understand the thought process behind it, so we are going to abide by that and say it's like, how do these guys do in the Red Zone Zamasu fight, and then we can kind of go from there, right? So at number 10, I decided, you know what, it's my list. We're going to go ahead and change this up a little bit, and we're just going to do 3 units at number 10. And this is the fringe. I don't know if these guys are better than anybody above them or below them type of thing. And the first guy we have here is Gamma 2. We have the Fearless Hero Gamma 2 here. You guys, I'm sure, if you are familiar with how Gamma 2 is playing, especially in the Cell Max event, at this point, you are really depending on him doing 4 supers and doing crits and stuff like that. I know a lot of people from the Special Pose Cell Max mission, it was just like, this guy messed him up because he didn't do crits on all of his supers and stuff like that. And I think overall, just Gamma 1 is head and shoulders above this guy at this point, so I think 10 is a good spot for him. You guys saw that we had TURS on here as well. Now, TURS can look impressive, but the problem with this guy is his entrance animation is extremely limited and not viable in any of the hard fights in the game right now, because all of the hard fights that we're really like, you know, people care about are extreme class enemies, right? With the Red Zone, with the Birth of the Shadow Dragons event and all that fun stuff. It is more focused on stuff like that. So it's like, you know, we see here support and attack for the rest of the battle that TURS is giving is nice, but you're not going to be getting that because you're never really fighting Goku family enemies. So I think this guy is fine at 10. But other than that, you know, I can't really move him much higher at this point because he needs a lot, right? But moving on, we have Kale. Her super attack effect sucks, only raising attack. You know, it's 2023. We need defensive raises right there. But we also do have in this passive, you know, a high chance of launching an additional. We have damage reduction with each super attack, so if she triple super, she's getting 60% damage reduction in slot 2. But the problem is we need Universe 6 allies, and the Universe 6 team right now, ladies and gentlemen, if we want to go ahead and take a look at it, yeah, it's a real doozy of a team, huh? So Universe 6 not really in the best spot at the moment, so I think 10 again is a good spot for her. She's borderline unrunnable at this point, so it's going to be tough to really move her anywhere else. So that is my kind of verbatim, or not verbatim, but like quick breakdown of who I have at 10. Let's move on to number 9, and it's everybody's good friend Tech Ultimate Gohan. Now, Tech Ultimate Gohan, what is there to say about this guy that hasn't been said already? We're talking about guard, we're talking about stacking, greatly raising attack and defense on super attack and stuff like that. After 2 to 3 supers, this guy's good to go in most events still, which is kind of crazy to think about. With the AoE, it is a little bit tricky, but we have all in the family for units like World Tournament Goku, like Kid Goku and stuff like that, who are obviously going to be on this list. So Ultimate Gohan, he's a meme, he's beautiful, he's the best. So 2020 units still making the list for me. So I just like, until he literally just can't take even that first hit, I don't really see any reason to say that this guy is not like borderline top 10. So number 9, I have Tech Ultimate Gohan. Let's not dwell too much on him, and we'll just move on to number 8, which is everybody's good friend Super Trunks. I already said that once, but with Super Trunks, this guy is neat, but you know, we were talking about how he needs a team, and now he has a team, and he's like the worst unit on it, right? Which is kind of crazy. But you know, this guy is on a lot of teams here. We see there's 17 categories that he's fitting on. But the big issue for me is right here, where, you know, we're restricted to category allies, and we also have a high chance on that, right? So it's like we're getting this additional buff that is restricted to categories. And whenever you do that, it should just be guaranteed. I don't know why high chance should even exist if we're going to restrict it to categories, right? Because it's like, let's go ahead and look at the Android Cell Saga team, which he obviously does lead, but the Android Cell Saga team, where are you? It's like, who is like endgame viable on this team right now? Future Gohan, Int Cell, who's barely endgame viable, AGL Gohan, we have this Trunks, who again is a very big coin flip. This guy just flat out sucks. The tech androids are okay. You just flat out suck now. You're not great. You suck. You suck. You're pretty good now. You're all right, especially if you're fighting against this Cell. This Future Gohan is actually kind of phenomenal at this point. But again, it's like, you're okay. Just like this team, and you're okay too. But this team is not like great, right? It just, especially when you look at the top end of it, it's like we have 6 borderline runnable units, but again, it should just be guaranteed for, you know, what we're looking for. Because it's like once you get into Super Trunks, it's looking good, and then that chance to guard is really what happens, right? Because we have guards all attacks from 3 turns, like that's good. Because most of the time, like by the time you're out 3 turns, the fight's probably over by the time you pull this guy out. And then stuff like that, we get attack raise, we get you know, guaranteed crit and stuff like that. We get the attack break on the active skill effect and stuff like that. I think this unit is solid, but again, best spot that I can put him is 8 on this list. So let's go ahead and move on to number 7, and that is the new androids, 17 and 18. Very good unit, but the problem is these guys are a put away, they're a stash for the future type of unit. You know, a lot of people said the same thing about this Trunks. I believe, you know, just to think off the top of my head, I believe it was Minato who said it, but again, this is kind of like a common sentiment that this unit is somebody that you're investing in, right? You're summoning for this unit, you're expecting tournament and power buffs to make these guys look way more impressive, right? The tournament participants category is decent. You know, you kind of look at some of the units on this team, and you see a lot of like not in terms of the LRs, but the TURs. It's like, you know, you see some units that are cracking the top 10 here. You got Kale, you got World Tournament Goku, you got World Tournament Piccolo. We have this kid Krillin who's decent, but again, these guys are Universe 7 based, so it's like, you know, really running this guy along like World Tournament Goku is not what you're looking for, right? I think that they have a lot of potential, but the problem is you have to put them in slot 2, and with the vacuum being the merge Zamasu AoE, and it's the same thing for this guy, right? Like this guy, unless he has his guard, which is very hard to do because of like just that team is not viable for the Red Zone Zamasu fight. It's like that AoE is just doing damage, right? Type disadvantage and whatnot. It's like these guys after super are going to look good, especially if you get the unit super attack, which, you know, not a lot of tournament what is it, Universe 7 Gokus on the team right now that are very relevant. So again, I think this unit down the line could move up a couple spots, but I think 7 right now is a good spot. Go figure with Universe 7. I didn't do that on purpose, but I think that's a good spot for them. Let's move on to number 6, which is Yamcha. Now Yamcha, our boy Yamcha, he is extremely reliant on dodging, but when you get those dodges in, you guys can see here, we got attack and defense plus 150% at the start of turn. The intro animation is super easy to get because Earthbred Fighters is a very good team. Attack and defense plus 30% with each attack performed up to 150, which you're going to easily be getting, especially if you're dodging in slot 1. Medium chance of performing a crit, not bad. High chance of dodging once an additional attack after you dodge, and the chance of evading enemies attack plus 10 with each per super performed, so that is moving up a lot. And so it's like, imagine we get the 60% dodge to proc, and then we get a triple super, and then that's already you know, the high chance on top of, like, you know, whatever. So what is that? With a high chance, I believe that's 80%, so that's pretty good to dodge after that. So especially if he gets his dodges in and stuff like that, he's ready to go. I think that 6 is a good spot for him. Slot 1 dodging, if he dodges, he looks cracked. If he's not dodging, it could be a little messy. But that leads to number 5, and that is Gamma 1. Now Gamma 1 being on the superhero team is really where I have his major stock. Double Piccolo led team can literally beat everything in the game. It can no item everything in the game. You know, you're taking away supers, you're taking away AoEs and stuff like that with Orange Piccolo doing his thing. And Gamma 1 is an extremely nice floater for the team. I'm looking for his support, so he gives Ki plus 1 and defense plus 30%, which these high defensive stats is very helpful. I think that this guy is really good. He holds it down, right? We have the damage reduction when he gets hit. You put him in slot 3, he's floating with his guard and stuff like that. And he's just one of those units that's going to look pretty and not get you killed, right? And then he has a chance of countering supers, but unarmed supers are kind of rare. So that, again, that is not the greatest thing, but he also has type advantage in the Zamasu fight. So that does help. And then Yamcha as well has type disadvantage in the Zamasu fight, so that's why he's not higher. But number 5, I think for Gamma 1 is a good spot, and let's move on to number 4. Now at number 4, we have Kid Goku. So now the top 3 should be pretty obvious, but Kid Goku, with World Tournament Goku and the new hardest fight, especially with him being type advantage in the AoE phase, has done quite a bit for this guy's stock, right? The damage reduction support that he's providing, the defense that he's providing to himself, the damage reduction he's providing to himself as well, in combination with the type advantage in the Zamasu fight, is really where I have this guy as high as I have him. You want to run a rotation with him and Aider, you can, but you could just run him on like the Earthbred Fighters team, and you have World Tournament Goku, you have this guy, you have all in the family. Like, look, this is a really good rotation for these two, and this rotation is just going to put in work, because that is your slot 1 unit with World Tournament Goku, and then you have a slot 2 unit with this Kid Goku. It all is going to work well in the neighborhood. I think this guy is phenomenal, and especially now, I think number 4 is a great spot for him, because he is just a little bit a tier below the top 3 that I have right now. But I think that, you know, this guy really has seen a bit of a resurgence, especially with the hardest fight in the game having the first phase being in. So it's like when the hardest fight in the game moves to an STR boss, we're probably going to move this guy down. But for the time being, with that AoE, we do have this Goku in this spot at 4, because I like where he's at right now. It could, like I said, if it does move typings, we could probably move that guy a little bit down the list, but right now I like this spot. So Moving on, at number 3, I have Majunior. Now, I know people aren't going to like this because there is a huge crowd of people that say Majunior is number 1, but right now with the AoE and the Emerge Zamasu fight, I can't in good faith put this guy at number 1 because he's taking way too much damage from that AoE. And most of the time in my experience playing that fight, the AoE is always coming in slot 1, so it's almost every time units that can't build up will not build up. So that doesn't help one bit. But again, this guy still is phenomenal, especially if you're running him where there isn't AoEs. He is like, especially after supering, he is a wall. You have the giant form, which comes in and takes away AoEs and supers, which is very helpful as well in other fights alongside aside from just the Zamasu fight. I think that this guy is super, super well designed, and it's a good thing that, you know, this World Tournament got the love that it did. So this is where things kind of take a bit of a turn. I don't want to waste too much of your time, but at number 2, so once I reveal number 2, it's going to make number 1 obvious, so I'll just go ahead and reveal them at the same time. Here's what I have right now. Ignore the emojis. Right now we have World Tournament Goku as well as God Goku at 1 and 2. So with God Goku, he is orb reliant, and I think him being orb reliant is going to put him down a little bit. But if you do get those orbs, he is just crazy good, right? When we have the guard, we have the dodge chance, we have the double, the triple supers that he's doing with the raises. We have, you know, key 2 attack and defense at 150% at the start of turn. We have the intro buff. We have attack and defense plus 50% when attacking, a medium chance of evading. Then we have an additional attack and defense plus 50% and chance of evading enemies' attack with 3 or more key spheres obtained. So, you know, that is a 60% chance to evade after we do that. An additional attack and guards all attacks with 6 or more. Very nice. We have guard. We have dodging. That's defensive gimmicks. We have decent attack stats, decent defensive stats. You don't really ever use his active skill. So, you know, you're just kind of going to be looking at this guy for most of the fight. So, again, I think number 2 is the right spot for this unit because number 1 right now, to me, World Tournament Goku is just on a whole nother level. Maybe not a whole nother level, maybe that's a little bit of a boost, but just with the way that this guy is working with the guard and stuff like that, it is just dumb, right? Because we start right away, we have guards for the one turn, like the first turn guard is guaranteed for the AoE portion, right? And then you just run him on a team with the GT duo and you get the revival. And then all of a sudden you have this post-revival World Tournament Goku who's just on a whole nother level. We're talking 1 million defense with guard. We're talking 7 million attack stats. We're talking 4 of those. It's just, there's so much that this guy is doing to make him number 1. And the revive is not hard to get anymore. Like I said, you think about a unit like Tech Carnival Goku from the Cooler movie, right? That revive is easy. We have another revival. Who else do we have? We have the GT duo who have an easy revival. Obviously not the 6-year units and stuff like that, but the GT duo is such a viable unit, and you can run him on Battle of Fate with this World Tournament Goku, and that revival, if you go into a turn low HP in the GT duo turn 2, you're getting the World Tournament Goku revival buff on turn 3. And having this guy turn 3 and you can just fully build him up, like I said, he's gonna have 1 million defense with guard. Like, it's crazy. And like worst case scenario, he just revives himself on turn 6. Now turn 6 is not a guarantee or anything like that, but I think that at number 1 for me, this is just where I have this guy. Again, he has blast nullification, which a lot of bosses in the game do blast key blast blast based supers that he can nullify and stuff like that. So it's going to be very helpful, right? We think about the Broly AoE from the Red Zone Broly. That's a blast. He can tank Omega Shenron supers if you build him up and stuff like that. So I have him at number 1. If you want to argue God Goku's at number 1, if you want to argue Majunior's at number 1, knock yourself out. But here is the list in all of its glory. Let me zoom out a little bit here on OBS so you guys can see this. There you go. We're moving it across the screen, but there it is. So to recap, if you guys have been looking away and not listening to everything, we have Turles, Kale, and Gamma 2 at 10 because I said so. We have 9. We have Ultimate Gohan, Tekhan, whatever you want to call him. 8, I have Super Saiyan Trunks. 7, I have the androids. 6, Yamcha. 5, Gamma Uno. 4, Kid Goku. 3, Piccolo Jr. 2, Super Saiyan God Goku. And number 1, World Tournament Goku. So let me know what you guys think of the list down below. Don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy. Let me know what I got right. Let me know what I got wrong. Subscribe if you're new, like I said. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of my Dokkan content. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.